Thanks, Brian. I just the obvious as far as the cancellation or the postponement. What were the discussions that you guys were having? It seemed like a long discussion before going into the locker room. So if you could share any insight on what was going on.
Sure, I'll go through the story, and then if you have further questions, Jada, happy to answer them. So look, number one, I mean, look, we come from Seattle. We're used to the rain, so we weren't afraid to play, and we were going to try and play the game if we could. But the referees are in charge of, saying whether we continue or not. And so what happened during that first break was the referees felt that the field was unplayable. And then it kicks into, Jada, a bunch of MLS things, rules, regulations, the league wants to play games, all that sort of stuff. But the weather was not letting up. And they had guys trying to clear the field. So I started to think about, okay, what about injury risk? Is the field safe? We've got a pretty long injury list, so I could hardly afford to have a guy sit for a couple hours and try and get back out on the field at 11 o'clock on sloppy conditions, a cold night. So I kind of agreed with the decision. I said, look, if the rain's not going to stop and the field's unplayable and the safety of the players is going to be there, I'm okay with the decision. Eventually, it came down to the referees in the league, and I get it. I'm okay with the decision. Now, what I would say to get all the controversy out of the way, I mean, look, they're flying down to Pachuca. They've got a game on Tuesday. Did they want to prepare for that game? Look, I get that. Was there a competitive advantage lost? I'm not so sure. I mean, the game was going to be sloppy. Who knows if we could have, put up a good performance anyway. So again, even there, at the end of the day, I think that's a good outcome. And obviously, there's a couple of dates that we would put forward to the league. That's out of my hands, but there's a couple of dates that we'll put forward to the league that work with us in our schedule to try and get it rescheduled.
Can you share those dates? And then also, what about the players? I mean, Raul was one of the ones that you could see playing with the ball and whatnot. Was that a matter of this is unplayable kind of thing, or we can make it happen?
No, I can't give you the dates, Jada, because it's above my pay grade. I'll get in trouble. But certainly there are some available dates. Look, Raul, Christian, everybody, we wanted to play. I mean, we're Seattleites. Again, we're not afraid of the rain. It wasn't going to stop us from playing tonight. I think it was just the continued rain and the ability of the field to, not push the water away, or the accumulation of the water on the field eventually made the game unplayable. Our guys wanted to play.
All right, Jeremiah, we'll go to you next. And while we're bringing you off mute, for anybody else that has a question, please go ahead and hit that raise hand function button for us. We can go ahead and get to you. Jeremiah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I guess I have a couple of technical questions. Reading the rules, I just want to make sure I understand what governs the replay of this. Does it start then from the 5th minute, and you can't add anyone that wasn't on the roster today? Is that accurate?
I would have to read up on all those rules, but yes, Jeremiah, there are certain rules that will have to be followed for us to continue, like the starting lineup. But then if you have injuries, like let's just say, for example, Andrew Thomas gets injured, or let me pick a less controversial name. Let's just say, well, I don't want to say anybody's getting injured. I'm gonna paint the devil. But in case one of our players gets injured, I think they have to be replaced first by the substitutes we had. There's a whole list of rules that we'll have to look over when we do actually replay the game. But again, Jeremiah, we'll sort through those. I think the right decision was made tonight.
And I guess to follow up on that, from your perspective, I mean, was the condition of the field something unlike you'd seen before? And what was the discussion, I guess, before you even came out? Because it seems like if you got 5 minutes in, it would have maybe made sense to never get on the field in the first place.
Well, during the warm-up, the field was still okay. I mean, you could start to see the water piling up. I don't know if the amount of rainfall that came in just overloaded the system that's underneath the field. I don't know that, Jeremiah. You'd have to ask the Philly people that. But the field became worse in a very short amount of time. And look, here's the other thing I would tell you. The referees weren't like, they were trying to get the game to play as well. I think they made a good decision to stop the game, and then it kicked into, you know, well, when is the rain going to stop, and could they get the field cleared or playable? So, you know, I can't even blame the referees for that.
All right, Maz, I see you with your hand up. We'll go to you next.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. So just what are the parameters of the reschedule? Like, do they tell you when, or do you just kind of put that away and concentrate on the business at hand and get back to, you know, that type of rotation?
Well, I'm going to, and the players are going to, but I'm sure Craig and, you know, whoever else has to, you know, do the rescheduling. Yeah, we'll put some pressure on them to get the dates that work for us. And obviously they have to work for Philadelphia stadium availability, whether they're in Champions League or not, whether they go through or not. So there's a couple days, like I said, that work for us, and we'll announce those when they're ready.
And then on the TV, we just saw the official talking with the players. Was any discussion with the players about whether, I mean, their input, or was it really more of conveying the information and the decision that was made?
No, they
Sorry,
were
Brian.
asking for some opinions. They asked the players, but at the end of the day, again, they made the right decision.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get they made the right decision. I was trying to get more into how that process goes and things like that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, we were standing around. I knew it took a while for them to make a final decision to postpone the game, and there might have been some controversy there. But, you know, in that moment, I can only imagine what the referee's thinking. I mean, you know, it's a big deal to stop an MLS game, and he made the decision, and it was the right one.
Yeah. And then what was the players' reaction? I think we've all played at some level, and when you get so hyped to get ready to play, and then there's like, sorry, you can't play.
We were talking about during the delay before the game got officially, because it took a while before the game got officially canceled. And we're in the locker room, and I told the guys to, you know, try and get out of some of their wet clothes. The equipment guys were scrambling to get new socks and everything. Because again, Moss, we were going to play the game. I mean, it's like I was telling Jordan and Christian and some of the guys, I said, it's like when you're 10 years old down at the local play field and it starts raining. You just keep going.
Yeah.
All right, I see one follow-up, so this is the last one. No worries. If there are any other questions, please go ahead and hit that raise hand function button for us. Jeremiah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how many times you've been involved in a game that's started and was postponed, but does it feel like the normal process where they will have the players standing around on the field for
Jeremiah, that's our I believe in our Sounder history, you would know better than I think that's our first game that's ever really been postponed. I don't know if Matt, do you know the answer to that? I mean, we've had delays. I remember delays in Orlando and Texas and things like that, but I don't think we've ever, well, Colorado because of snow one time.
But that game didn't start, right? That was called out. You flew out there, but that didn't actually start.
Oh, and maybe in Montreal we had to wait for a day. I think there was a game in Montreal way back when where we had to wait for a day. But you know, that was the issue with this game. We couldn't wait and play it tomorrow. Like I believe, I'm not 100% sure on this, Jeremiah, but I believe the protocol is to try and play it the next day. But obviously that couldn't happen because Philly already had a flight down to Mexico.
All right, well, I think that's everything. If there's nothing else, and I'll just buy a couple of seconds here. Maz, I see you have a follow-up. Go for it.
Yeah, I got in late. This is probably, and I apologize, this is probably addressed, but what about your Rave Green Nation that traveled out there? Did you say something to them?
The what, Maz?
Oh, your fans. I said Rave Green Nation, but your fans that traveled out there.
Well, there was a lot of them up in the corner, and I'm sure they were singing Seattle Sunshine. You know, I feel bad for the people. Look, look, it's pro sports, and you don't want to have games postponed.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally get that. People lose money. Fans, you know, the Philly fans that came out tonight. So I don't know what the club can do, or you know what the remedies are. But certainly there was a large contingent of Sounder fans here in Philly, and you know, credit to the Sounders Nation, if that's what you want to call them. The Sounders faithful, I would say.
Yep.
Good on them for coming to the game and supporting the team as well as they do.
Thanks, Coach.
Jada, I think you've got the last one here, so go ahead and close this out.
Oh, I hit that on accident, but I guess I'll just ask you, Brian. It for sure, this match will for sure have to happen in at Subaru. Yeah.
Yes. Well, yes, it will happen here in Philadelphia. We just have to find a suitable date.
Yeah. Okay.
Brian, thank you again for making the time. I know it was a unique one this evening. Thanks to all the media for hopping on. Safe travels home, Brian.
Thanks, everybody.